Overflows.
For intimacy, accept your sexuality. The fundamental and most basic need of each one of us is to be needed, to be loved. But nobody wants to accept that it is my basic need to be needed, to be loved, and to be accepted. The process of intimacy cannot grow unless you accept as you are. And unless you accept that to be loved, to be needed, to be accepted is my basic need in life. Everybody wants to feel that he or she is needed, but nobody wants to accept. Total acceptance is the beginning. You reject the animal in you, your society, conditionings, belief system, all reject and condemn the animal in you. This is where the problem begins. The word animal comes from the root anima. Anima is the unconscious feminine part of your mind that works automatically. This is in both male and female. Without introspection or awareness, this feminine part of your mind works automatically without introspection or awareness. Some psychologists believe your anima affects your dreams, fears, and habits. The soul or animating principle of a living thing is specifically as contrasted with the animus. This inner self of a person that is in touch with the unconscious as opposed to the persona. Psychologists like Carl Jung came up with the idea of anima and animus as part of your psyche or a spirit that connects with the deepest, most subconscious aspect of human mind. If you accept your sexuality without any conditions, if you accept that man and every being in the world is fragile, life is very thin thread which can break down any moment. Once this is accepted, false egos slips out of you. If you simply understand that everybody is beautiful in his ordinariness and everybody has weaknesses, the journey of intimacy begins. Remember, all these are part of human nature because you are not made of steel. You are made of a very fragile body. The span of your life is between the temperatures of 98 degrees and 110 degrees. Just 12 degrees of temperature is your whole span of life because your temperature moves between 98 and 110. Fall below it and you are dead. Go beyond it, again you are dead. And the same applies to 1,001 things in you. One of the most basic need is to be needed, but nobody wants to accept that my basic need is to be needed, to be loved, to be accepted. We are living in such pretensions and hypocrisies. That is the reason why intimacy creates fear. You are not what you appear to be. Your appearances are false. You may appear to be a saint, but deep down you are still a weak and vulnerable human being with all the desires and longings. The first step is to accept yourself in your totality, in spite of all your traditions which have driven entire humanity insane. Once you have accepted yourself as you are, the fear of intimacy will disappear. You cannot lose respect. You cannot lose your greatness. You cannot lose your ego. So too, you cannot lose your piousness. You cannot lose your saintliness. You have stopped all that yourself. You are just like a small child, utterly innocent. You can open yourself because inside you are not filled with ugly repressions which have become perversions. You can say everything that you feel automatically and sincerely. And if you are ready to be intimate, you will encourage the other person to also be intimate. Your openness will help the other also to open to you. Your unpretentious simplicity will allow the other to enjoy simplicity, innocence, trust, love, and openness. You can say everything that you feel automatically and sincerely. If you are ready to be intimate, you will encourage the other person to also be intimate. Your openness will help the other person also to open to you. Your unpretentious simplicity will allow the other also to enjoy simplicity, innocence, trust, love, and openness. This is the fundamental law of life. But you are encaged within the stupid concepts and fear, which is, if you become very intimate with somebody, he will become aware of it. But we are fragile beings, the most fragile in the entire existence. The human child is the most fragile child of all animals. Children of other animals can survive without a mother, without a father, or without a family. But the human child will die immediately. So this frailty is not something to be condemned. It is the highest expression of consciousness. It is the highest expression of consciousness. A rose flower is going to be fragile. It is not a stone. And there is no need to feel bad about it, that you are a rose flower and not a stone. Only when two persons become intimate, they are no longer strangers. Intimacy is the criteria to decide whether you are strangers or not. And it is a beautiful experience to find that not only you are full of weaknesses, but the other as well. Perhaps everyone is full of weaknesses. The higher expression of anything becomes weaker. The higher expression of anything becomes weaker. Roots are very strong, but the flower cannot be so strong because flower is higher than the roots. roots support the flower. It is beauty because it is not very strong. It is beauty because it is not being strong. In the morning, it opens its petals to welcome the sun, dances the whole day in the wind, in the rain, in the sun, and by evening, the petals have started falling. It is gone. Everything that is beautiful and precious is going to be very momentary. Remember this. Everything that is beautiful, precious, is going to be very momentary. But you want everything to be permanent. You love someone and you promise, I will love you my whole life. And you know perfectly well that you cannot even be certain of the next moment. You are giving a false promise. All that you can say, I am in love with you this moment and I will give you my totality to you. About the next moment, I know nothing. How can I promise? You have to forgive me. But lovers are promising all kinds of things which they cannot fulfill. Then frustration comes in, the distance grows bigger, then fight, conflict, struggle, and a life that was meant to become happier becomes just a long, drawn out misery. It is good that you are aware of your greatest fear, that is of intimacy. It can become a great revelation to you and a revolution if you look inwards and start dropping everything of which you feel ashamed. Accept your nature as it is, not as it should be. I do not teach any should. All shoulds make the human mind sick. People should be taught the beauty of ishness, the tremendous splendor of nature. This doesn't. Trees do not know any 10 commandments. The birds do not know any holy scriptures. It is only man who has created a problem for himself. Existence is enough unto itself. This is what ishness is that I teach. And then we cannot throw the responsibility of anybody's head. You know there is no God, only godliness is, then the whole responsibility falls on us. This total acceptance is your responsibility. Condemn your own nature, you become split and schizophrenic. And not just ordinary people, but people of the status of Sigmund Freud, who contributed greatly to humanity about mind. His method of psychoanalysis, that you should be made aware of all that is unconscious in you. And this is the secret, that once something unconscious is brought to the conscious mind, it evaporates. You become cleaner and lighter. As more and more unconscious is unburdened, your consciousness goes on becoming bigger and bigger. And as the area of unconscious shrinks, the territory of consciousness expands. That is an immense truth. Intimacy simply means that the doors of the heart are open for you. You are welcome to come in and be a guest. But that is possible only if you have a heart which is not shrinking and repressed sexuality, which is not boiling with all kinds of perversions, which is natural as trees, as innocent as anything else.